Hello and welcome to Sasha Box and Interiors HQ. I thought I'd jump on this morning and do a little video on the different types of curtain headings you can have on your curtains. Typically, the majority of the curtains that we make here are hand finished, and there are a variety of different headings that you can have on your curtains. So I get asked quite often what the different headings look like. So I thought I'd run through a little video and show you exactly what they are.
So let's start with a single pleat curtain. Once you've made your curtain up, you will be left with a flat piece at the top, which you would have worked out the calculations for your pleats and your spaces. So with a single pleat curtain, I tend to go with a size 10 pleat and a size 10 space. So what that means is when my single pleat is made up, I will have 5 centimetres as my full pleat, because this opened up would be 10 centimetres and then the space in between would be 10. So basically what that means is when they're all folded up, they will all be exactly the same. Obviously this is not, because this is a double pleat that I'm making up. So a single pleat essentially looks like a single pleat. It's also known as a knife pleat as well. So that's your single pleat. Then we have a double pleat. Now this curtain here is actually going to be made up into a double pleat headed curtain. So I have made this 15 centimetres as my pleat, and then my space in between is 13. I would always make sure, depending whether it's interlined, lined, blackout lined, that you have a decent amount for your double pleat. I wouldn't necessarily go lower than 12 centimetres, and you can go up to about 20 depending on how thick or how deep you want your double pleat to be. But I wouldn't, generally I sort of stick between 14 and 16 for a double pleat, but that's entirely up to you. So again, the double pleat, this is your space and these are your pleats. To make up your double pleat, you just flatten this one. So this is a 15. I just flatten that like so. You can use a ruler in the centre and pull it up to create your double pleat. And then I just peg this here. And then I also peg it at the top. Because now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch through here to create my pleat. You can either stitch through or you can over sew, depending on what you want to do. It's quite nice to do a contrast thread colour, maybe pick out a pink to over sew it. And then at the top then, what you would do is you would stitch the 3 pieces together. So you would stitch here to here and then here to here over a few times, just to ensure that's nice and pulled back tight. So that's your double pleat. The next option is a triple pleat. So a triple pleat is essentially 3 pleats. So what you do is I grab the centre part here and I squish it down like so to create almost like a T. So all of these 3 here are equal. And then I squish it together like so. I'd normally have probably a bit more in my pleat size, so I'd probably go up to a 17 for a triple pleat, but it's totally up to you. Again, it depends on how big you want your triple pleat to be, how thick the interlining is. So again, once you've done that, all of those 3 there should be even. Squish it down like so, pop a peg in, or whatever you want, or a pin. And then again, you just stitch through all the way there, or you over sew. And then again at the top, you stitch from the centre, make it nice and secure, and stitch out to these corners here and pull them nice and taut. So it pulls it nice and taut back, so then it sits as a lovely triple pleat. There's your triple pleat. The next pleat you could have is called a cartridge pleat. Now, a cartridge pleat is essentially, I'm actually going to move on to this one because this one hasn't been folded too much. So a cartridge pleat is essentially like a single pleat, but you open this out, create a nice column, and then I'm just using this buckram as an example here, but normally you would use some interlining rolled up, or you can use some dacron rolled up. And then you would then stuff that so it's nice and stuffed. Obviously mine isn't stuffed because I haven't used, just keep stuffing and stuffing. Some people like quite a lot of stuff in, some people don't like a lot of stuff in, but you'll get more of a column look. So when they're actually all pleated up together in the in their cartridge pleats, you'll get more of a column look when it's hanging. So that's your cartridge pleat. The next is a goblet pleat. So essentially a goblet pleat is pretty much the same as a cartridge pleat, except that you create a fold at the bottom here. It's not so easy to do because I haven't got lots of stuffing in here, but this would be really stuffed. And then what you would do is you would create a pinch at the bottom, and then you would stitch, peg that in, and then you would stitch that over. So that would create like a goblet, like a wine glass, like a goblet. So that's a goblet pleat. And again, I always stitch at the top, whether it's a cartridge or a goblet, just to make sure that that's nice and secured here. Some people actually stitch these to the side slightly as well, which I've tended to do on certain things. It depends on what size the goblet pleat is. So there we go. I hope that was helpful.